Welcome to Journey Real Estate Market Roadmap. I'm Corey Robinson. This is Christina, and we are here to clear the market fog and show you the landmarks you need to navigate with confidence. So, Christina, what are you seeing nationally this month?
Good morning. The big story on the national real estate front this month is the affordability squeeze. We're seeing a clear cooling trend as a combination of higher mortgage rates and stubbornly high prices puts pressure on buyers across the country. Here's what that looks like in numbers. First, while mortgage rates have stabilized a bit, they remain significantly higher than in past years, directly impacting buying power. Second, as a result, existing home sales, the red line on this chart, have been trending downward. Buyers are simply being priced out, and it feels like a standoff between buyers and sellers.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're seeing affordability challenges show up everywhere at the gas station, the grocery store. The rising cost of insurance is a challenge right now. Everything's more expensive, which definitely impacts buyer confidence in this market.
So the other key number is the pending sales index, the dotted line here. This is a forward-looking indicator that predicts next month's sales. It's also been slowing down, which tells us we can expect this cooling trend to continue into the fall or maybe into summer slowdown. Corey, how's this national slowdown playing out here at home in Marin?
Thanks, Christina. Yeah, those national trends are certainly showing up here in our local market as well, but in very nuanced ways. So if you look at this chart, the lines are kind of all over the place. This is looking at single-family homes and condos and how they're performing in very different ways. So it's kind of a tale of two different markets. Single family homes tend to be a little bit more stable, and the condo market is kind of all over the place right now. A lot of that having to do with HOA challenges, insurance challenges, new balcony laws. So certain complexes are really damaged by new policy, and others are still moving relatively quickly, depending on location and price point in Marin. While this looks very different, our next chart shows us that there are some seasonality norms and some correlations between the condo market and the single-family home market. So seasonally here in Marin County, we see our strongest season in terms of inventory and buyer activity and price appreciation take place in the spring market. So you'll see an uptick, after February. March, April, May tends to be really strong. As I'm recording this, we are in July, reflecting back on data through the first half of the year. And we are in a little bit of a summer lull right now because in July and August, a lot of people are traveling and distracted. So it's an opportunity zone for buyers. Well, some listings are sitting longer than we anticipated. We then see an uptick in the fall when families are back from vacation, kids are in school, and it remains strong through about Thanksgiving, at which point there is another opportunity zone for buyers. But as a listing or a seller, you're probably not going to want to hit the market after about Thanksgiving of any given year, including this year. So for today's presentation, we're focusing mainly on single-family homes, just because there's too much erratic behavior happening in the condo market. All right, so here's a look at our market flow dashboard chart, and this shows you the seasonal norms that we talked about, whereas if you look at end of year, early new year, sales are down, new inventory is down. There's not a lot going on while people are celebrating the holidays, and as expected, everything has an uptick come the new year, and the spring is when we see more inventory coming on, which is the dotted blue line, and there became a disparity with more homes sitting on the market a little longer, so inventory is up quite a bit. This is good news for buyers who have been waiting for inventory for years. Now you have choices, now you have opportunities to get into the market and negotiate with some of those listings that have been sitting for a while. You'll also notice as we get into May and June that the pending sales and the sold homes, which are the orange line and the green line there, are outperforming the new inventory. And so you notice the little bell curve at the top of the for sale homes is starting to come down and come back into alignment. So as we're recording this in July, it'll be interesting to see how we come out of the summer months, because there is that summer slowdown. In the fall, we are expecting it to pick up, assuming rates come down a little bit and the market performs as it has historically. It's also important to remember that Marin always has pretty low inventory. We don't have a lot of new development. We don't have a lot of land. We have a bunch of protected space for hills and outdoor and nature, which is why people love Marin County so much. But properties are still selling. And what we're noticing is the properties that are staged, they're vacant, they're freshened up, they're presented beautifully and priced accordingly, they're still moving really quickly. The ones that are sitting a little bit longer are ones that need work because buyers are selective in this marketplace. And so if it's owner occupied, not presenting at its best, or maybe some of the hillside homes with limited parking and some limitations around those lines are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So now more than ever, if you're selling your property, strategy matters, alignment with your realtor matters, as they can bring in great resources to get you positioned for success in a nuanced market like this. All right, shifting over to our market pace chart here. This shows, are homes selling fast? Are they sitting for a long time? And you'll notice the red dotted line on the bottom represents months of inventory, which, as I just mentioned, is pretty darn low. In a balanced market, we usually see 3 to 5 months of inventory. So the data still suggests that this is a seller's market, even though certain segments feel like a buyer's market. And you'll notice the days on market was really high through the winter months when a lot of stuff is sitting out there that's been on the market for a long time already. And it comes down dramatically as buyers hop back into the market, inventory increases in the spring. We noticed it started to come up a little bit again as we reached that midway mark of the year. And I also know that that's somewhat attributed to seasonal norms, and we'll see more inventory sitting a little longer through the summer months, as I mentioned. The green line, the green dotted line here represents the sold to list ratio. And it's a little bit of a dance. It's selling a little bit below the listing price on average here, but that is very specific to price point, to market, to whatever city you're in and looking to sell. So I wouldn't spend too much energy focusing on that particular metric, but days on market is certainly something to track, as every homeowner wants to know, if I were to sell, would it sell quickly? And what does my value look like? So that's kind of what we're speaking to today, as values have remained pretty darn strong despite the national fear in the headlines and all of the uncertainty in the world. Marin is outperforming the national economy in general and is its own little hyper-local marketplace. And remember, these are averages. So if you're a buyer, you're looking at properties. If there's a home that's been sitting on the market for over a month, we have some negotiation leverage in most cases when you have a realistic seller on the other end. So if interest rates are an issue, we can negotiate for a seller credit to buy down those rates temporarily. That'll lower monthly payments, and there will likely be a refinance opportunity sooner or later, probably within the next year. And so we are winning a lot of negotiations on behalf of our buyer clients right now. And the sellers who are prepped properly are also selling quickly. So it might sound weird to say both are doing perfectly fine in this market. It's true that with the right strategy, there are opportunities for both sellers and buyers right now. All right, so the key takeaways here for home sellers are, yes, the market has shifted a bit, and you can't get back to that 3% artificially inflated market through COVID, where your neighbor's home maybe sold with 5 offers, 4 of them were around the asking price, and someone shot the moon. We're not seeing the moon shots as often these days, unfortunately, but it is still a strong market. It's not falling off a cliff. We are seeing some price resistance right now, where I think buyers are seeing opportunities, which is creating even a little more pause for them, thinking maybe prices will go down further, or maybe we'll see even more inventory. So there's a little bit of pause with buyers, and sellers are also, on some cases, pricing back to those 2021 sky-high prices during the 2.5% to 3% interest rates. So there's a little bit of a gap right now, creating some friction between buyers and sellers, and it's a little bit of a hold-off where we're waiting, and it's almost like who's going to blink first right now. I think as rates come down, that'll be one factor that helps. Hopefully, consumer confidence can help get some help a little bit. We've been dealing with tariff talks. We've been dealing with war talks. There's been a lot of uncertainty this year that makes sense why people are just kind of pausing at the moment. So at this moment in time, days on market is climbing a little bit. The sold to list ratio is below 100%, meaning homes are selling under the asking price on average. So one phrase that comes to mind in this market right now is, if it's not compelling, it's not selling. So your home either needs to be compelling, meaning properly prepped, staged, presenting beautifully, or it needs to be a compelling price that will incentivize buyers to get off the sidelines, get in and put an offer in on your home. So for sellers, it's important to know that prices are not falling off a cliff. Everything's okay, but you need to come in with strategy, not just shoot for a high price that your neighbor maybe achieved during the peak of the market. So work with an agent who's well connected, who knows the market in and out, and that will put you in a position to have a successful outcome. Key takeaways right now for buyers in this market is this may be your opportunity zone right now. Before rates have come down substantially, a lot of people are paused. We have more inventory to choose from right now. So you have choices, you have negotiation leverage. My gut tells me there will be an inflection point at some point in time where rates come down far enough for a lot of buyers to jump back in there, and we might get back to the bidding wars and price appreciation going up. So if you can secure a lower price right now, negotiate the rate down, get your foot in the market, this could be a really good time to explore that. I'm also using the phrase actively patient with my buyer clients. So we're staying active and engaged, ready to jump. And we've had some great success recently. As soon as a home hits the market, jumping on and securing a great price and great property for our clients. All right, so what's the wild card? What will determine where we go from here? For me, it all comes down to market psychology. I'm watching this chart very carefully. It shows the growing gap between seller expectations and the buyer reality. So the blue line is inventory, which is where the market is. The red line represents the gap between list price and final sales price. So it's what sellers hope for. When these lines diverge, as they are now, it signals a disconnect. The big question we don't know the answer to yet is when will seller expectations align with this new market dynamic? The speed at which the gap closes will tell us whether we're in for a balanced, healthy fall market or a continued period of friction and adjustment. We'll be tracking it closely for you, so check in and we will keep you updated as things develop. And one more thing, with all this recession talk in the headlines, I want to remind everyone that a recession doesn't necessarily mean a housing crisis. I know 2008 is top of mind for a lot of folks, where the recession was caused by the housing market. That's not the case in most recessions. So in the last 6 recessions, housing prices have actually appreciated in most of those markets. So don't drive your decisions based on fear. Work with an agent who knows what they're talking about and can work with your situation to create a win. So those are your key landmarks for July. Navigate with confidence, and we'll clear more fog for you next month in the Journey Market Roadmap.